This is Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Jets at Noon brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program, which is coming to you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. Cam Poitras here. Jim Toth. Jim, how you doing?
Good day, sir. I'm well, thank you. Thirsty Thursday. Off day for the Jets. Not often you get 2 days off in between games.
Yeah.
Luckily, they made some news, so we're excited. We have something to talk about. And then, of course, Nikolaj Ehlers comes back tomorrow. Yeah,
announced at the gala, Adam Lowry, captain, 5 years, $5 million kicks in next season, and he is our guest right now, Adam Lowry.
I heard they did it at the gala. Like, they sat down with Mark and said, before dessert, let's work this out.
Adam, can you confirm that?
I wouldn't say it was done at the gala, but I knew we wanted to get it done so that, maybe we had a bit of good news to announce at the gala. And, we were trying to keep it under wraps and, so Chipper could announce it. And then I think they had to change the schedule around. They started serving the meals. And then I think, it had started to get out. So they quickly changed the programming around so that he could be the first one to announce it.
That's awesome. How do you feel about it, Adam? And when I say that, like, it's an extension, we know you want to be here, we know it's $25 million, all that. But at 32 years old and looking at a lifelong Winnipeg Jet, how do you feel about it? Take us through the process of your thought process to getting it done.
Yeah, I'm over the moon. Knowing that I get to stay in Winnipeg, I told my agent right from the get-go, Winnipeg was the only team I wanted to sign with. So to have that done, to know that, I'll more than likely finish my career in Winnipeg it's truly something special. Growing up around the game, my dad played 19 years, but we moved around a lot. He was on 5 different teams. And, to have the opportunity, when I was talking to my mom, to play for one organization, your entire career for one city, one team is something that not a lot of people get to experience. And then, especially for non-superstar players, like I know what I am as a player. I play a certain role for us, but I'm far from being a star. And, to just know that the organization has that belief in me and in what I do for the team, it means a lot to me and Laura.
Well, I mean, it's spectacular. And listen, you know your role on this team, better than anybody else. But listen, like, Adam, you're one of the best, quote unquote, third line centers in the entire NHL. So when you go into the summer, how do you approach it? How do you approach like working towards to be better at what you do so well?
Well, this summer was a little different. I was just trying to learn to walk again. Stairs and stuff, but.
Was there time to work on things? Like I know that there was a period summer you couldn't even walk, but
yeah, this summer was so different. Like, this is the first time I've gone through a major rehab in the off season, and then obviously not being ready for camp and things like that. It kind of changes the routine, kind of changes your day to day, and there was some times in the summer where it kind of felt like I was doing nothing or I was accomplishing nothing because, that's what the doctor and the kind of rehab requires. Normally in the summer, I skate a lot with Scheif and JMO, and there's a good group of pros. And, depending on how many guys we have on the ice, there's different skills you want to work on. I think anytime I get to go on the ice with those two guys in a small group, Braden Point comes out, Cale Makar, Travis Konechny, Jordan Eberle, like all really great players, first-line players, all-stars in the league. I get the opportunity to work on my skills, and, kind of my bread and butter is being strong defensively, having a good stick, kind of reading off of trying to figure out what they're trying to do. So, this summer, unfortunately, I wasn't really able to get on the ice with anyone. I started skating, albeit very gingerly and, very restricted, the middle of August. And, I wasn't really allowed to be on the ice with more than 2 bodies and, take any form of contact or be in any close proximity with anyone till almost the end of September, kind of early October. So it changed how I approached it. It's still coming back. There's things with the recovery that, are going to take, the rest of the season. It's going to take a while to get stronger and, kind of have that full pop that I had prior to the injury. But, at the same time, kind of watching from above, you can pick up things that you don't necessarily see at ice level. And that's the way I tried to approach it. I tried to watch games from last year where I played well, watch the games closely this year, see what guys were doing well, what other guys were trying to do, so that at least when I came back, I got my feet wet, it wouldn't be as big of a transition for me to get back up to speed.
How did you deal with sort of the mundane aspect of the recovery?
Yeah, it was tough. I think, with a lower body injury where you're on crutches for a while, you're not allowed to do a whole lot. Like I said, going to the gym and you're given a certain amount of exercises where you're not necessarily sweating. You don't really feel like you're working towards, really pushing yourself, putting yourself in that peak physical conditioning. Some days were tough. I think, in the summertime, I like to golf. I like to get on the course, spend time with my friends. I see a lot of friends at the rink when we're skating together and things like that. So that was tough. But at the same time, spending time with friends and family in Calgary and in Winnipeg, I had such tremendous support on some days where I'd maybe be a little agitated with the recovery not going as fast as I'd hoped and stuff. But, looking back now, it was something that needed to be done. I'm grateful that I did it and did it when we did it, just so I'd miss as minimal amount of time as possible. And, but yeah, there were some long days in the summer for sure.
Adam, I want to get back to the contract. I would imagine your agent told you it's not very good negotiating tactics to say I only want to be in Winnipeg. But I I understand. Like, I was there at your rookie camp when you came in from Swift Current after being drafted, the broken wrist, and I always get a kick out of seeing how players progress. This is a rare organization. We were talking about this, Cam and I, on the podcast yesterday, that, Hellebuck's a Hall of Famer. Scheifele's going to hit 900 games. He hits 1,000 points. You got to put him in that conversation. Morrissey continues to be in and around the great conversation. Kyle Connor. And then yourself. Like, what is it? You talked about it like you only wanted to be here and it means that much to you. But what does it mean to do it with this core? Because in any pro sports, this is so rare to have this many core drafted players that are exceptional players all stay together this long.
Yeah, well, I think it's a testament to the organization and honestly, from top down, how Mark Chipman and his family, Chevy, ownership, management, coaching staff, how they treat the players. I think we get a bad rap, Winnipeg not being a destination people want to come to, the city's cold, this, that, whatever. But, as soon as we get players here, they can't speak enough good things about the organization, how we're treated, how the ownership, how the management, how they care about you as a person. And, I think that creates a sense of loyalty, not only to the community, but the organization. And, to come up through the ranks with those guys, to be drafted the same year as Scheif and, kind of watch his career progress and, get to experience my entire career with him and, have Helly come in, KC, like you said, JMO, and watch these players develop and, really take pride in playing for the city of Winnipeg, playing for the Jets. It's been awesome. Like you said, Helly, I think, is a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer with all he's accomplished. And, if you ask him, he's not even scratching the surface. So, and then those other guys, if they continue on doing what they're doing, I think they all make a great case for themselves as well. So to get to come to work and play with those guys, they're unbelievable players, but they're also unbelievable people. And, it makes it a lot of fun coming to the rink, trying to pursue the same goal of winning the Stanley Cup with guys that, they've accomplished a lot in their careers, but they're still hungry. They're still looking for that edge, even into their 30s, they're still pushing. They still think their best hockey is ahead of them. And, that's what makes me optimistic that we have a chance to do something special with this group in Winnipeg.
What does it mean to you to be captain of this group then? Like to be drafted this way, and like when you were named, everybody was in agreement that you were the right person. But there are some other guys on this team that clearly could have been. What does it mean to you to represent that core and the rest of this team as captain and probably for the next 5 years?
Well, when I found out, and I remember having a conversation with Bones and Arnie, and I was kind of like, well, what about this guy? What about this guy? Like, are you sure? Like you said, like we have such a great group of leaders in the locker room that there's so many guys that would be deserving of wearing a C, and to have that privilege and that honor of representing the team, representing the city, it's one of the greatest moments of my career was, when I was named captain. It's something I don't take lightly. I try and, bring that same consistent work ethic every day, that same approach that, I hope guys find easy to follow. And, we have so many strong leaders in the room. It makes my job super easy. There's days where, I don't have it, someone else picks up the slack, and, that's what I think makes our team such a tight-knit team.
Do you have any specific moment that's been your favorite so far as captain of this team?
Well, I think everyone goes back to Game 7 against St. Louis. That one you're dead in the water with 2 odd minutes left, and to come back and win a Game 7 in double overtime, and to have the entire rink standing, or everyone that stayed, it was pretty incredible. I think just that feeling of jubilation, knowing that we were able to come back, there was no quit in this team. I think it just summarizes kind of our team, the character, the work ethic, the belief in each other. And, that's definitely one of them.
I want to squeeze one last one in here with you, Adam. And just having said all that, contracts are in place. Future is what it is for the next couple of years and everything. What would it mean to you specifically to bring a Stanley Cup to Winnipeg?
Yeah, it would mean the world to me. I think I remember a few years ago going into the playoffs, Bones just asked some of us to talk about, what we envision that being, what it would be like, ideally being the first Canadian team to bring the cup back to Canada in 30-odd years would be something special. But to do it in a market like Winnipeg, where we have such tremendous support, everywhere we go, people are wishing us the best. People are asking how your family's doing, how's the body feeling, wishing me well on my recovery. And, to be able to share that moment would be incredible. We see the support of the Bombers, and when they won their Grey Cup, and just to see that parade and what it would be like, I can't imagine that feeling. And, that's something that drives me every day, is to be able to climb that mountain and, share that moment, not only with my teammates, but with this city and the province.
Adam Lowry, Jets, a captain, new extension, 5 years, $5 million AAV, $25 million total. Adam, thanks so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. And
any little nice little gift you give yourself with the raise there? A new dog dish for Banks or something?
So it's funny. Sarah was asking me about that last night. She remembers this would have been, I think, when I signed my 3-year deal. And I bought myself a mixer, and she just chuckles at that. And I was like, what? Now at this point, I think we have everything. So we're extremely lucky. I'm sure I'll have to buy the guys dinner at some point on the road. But no, there's no purchases kind of in the near future. I'm assuming all my family members and Laura's family members will get nice Christmas gifts this year. But
just say no appetizers, right? You're not pulling in KC money or anything like that. But
oh no, you know what? We're extremely lucky. So we want to share that with all those closest to us.
I remember the mixer. I remember my former colleague Rick Ralph talking about it, and he said maybe if he gets another deal, he'll get like an air fryer or something. I said, Rick, they don't air fry food. Those guys, it's all pure. Yeah. Adam, congratulations.
I air fry. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Yeah. See, he is one of us.
I hear all the bad things about it, so I might need to upgrade the air fryer. Get rid of the plastics, but.
Well,
I'm guilty. Air frying makes life easy.
It certainly does.
It does. Adam, we're really happy for you. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
Always appreciate your time, and especially on an off day. Congratulations on a new contract, and best of luck rest of the season.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
204-780-6868, 204-780-6868. What do you think of our conversation with Adam Lowry? We'll discuss that at 12:30. As well, still to come on the show, Jay Richardson is leaving us here in Corus Radio, the PA announcer for the Winnipeg Jets. I caught up with him for a little quick, I guess, a farewell conversation.
That's nice.
But he's not going anywhere. He's still a PA announcer for the Winnipeg Jets, apparently. I thought that he had to give that gig up to if he left. But apparently that's not the case. So he
does have to give up his
that
parking spot, though. The one beside the helipad that he often takes.
That's right.
That's
and
gone.
The Carolina Hurricanes are a pretty dang good team. I'll tell you exactly what I uncovered and what has me thinking that this team might be the favorite to win the Stanley Cup when we come back. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from my good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program, which is coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio. We're Gourmet Pizza and Pasta bring the team to Boston Pizza. Let's squeeze some text messages in here. This one comes from Ernie. Ernie says, Adam is not the flashy 50-goal kind of superstar, but he is a superstar at the absolutely critical checking center role. Dick says, one of the best two-way players in the game. Go ahead.
He just always talks that way. Like, I know my role, I know I'm not. Like that's rare, but it takes away from exactly what that text says. What your role is an elite superstar, but what your role is, you are elite at.
And you pointed out
he is elite at it.
You pointed out during the break about his comments about like when Arneal and Bones offered him the seat, and he kind of goes, "Oh, what about this person? What about that
sure?
guy?
What about this guy?" That would tell Bones and Arneal that they made the right choice. The minute you hand somebody, you go, "Are you sure? What about this guy? What about that guy?" That's how selfless he is, right?
Yeah, it's Moses.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would ever describe himself as Moses. Moses did not want to lead the Israelites. Nobody wanted to, but somebody had to do it.
And I got to be honest with you, Cam, this wouldn't happen all the time. It would just naturally be your best player. We've talked about in the past how Mike Modano, like after years, said, "Can I not be captain anymore? I just want to play." It doesn't have to be your best player. And that doesn't mean he's like I just said, he's elite at what he does at third line center and penalty killing and all that. But this idea that you just have to at 18, 19, because they're your best player, give them an A or a C is ridiculous to me.
Oh, another thing that was very interesting to me was the comment he made about his dad. And his dad, Dave Lowry, who, was an interim head coach for this team for, I don't know, about half a season or so. As a player, he played for the Canucks, the Blues, the Panthers, the Sharks, the Flames.
He was a captain for a while.
He's coached in the Dub with the Hitmen, assistant with the Flames in the Dub in Victoria, the LA Kings assistant, was the head coach of the Brandon Wheat Kings for 1 year, assistant with the Jets, the Seattle Kraken. Now he's back in Calgary as an assistant. There's been lots and tons of moving around. And it was interesting for him to say there was tons of moving around as a kid. Right. And he was born during his time in St. Louis. But that was to understand how lucky he is to be able to stay situated in one spot. And he lives in Calgary in the off season. That's his home. But Winnipeg's his home too. And
it's just so I mentioned the other night, we were talking to Hall of Famers on the podcast, and I said, Scheifele's going to be in there. Morrissey continues to develop, and it was my son who said, "What about Kyle Connor?" I'm like, well, yeah, the trajectory he's at, he's a Hall of Famer. I don't know if Adam ever will be a Hall of Famer.
No.
I don't think so. But
his number will be in the rafters
but he'll play
here.
1,400 games.
Yeah, locally he'll be.
Yeah.
He'll have his number. His name will definitely be in the rafters.
But and I used to say this specifically about Hellebuck. Like for 3 years now, I said, you are watching a Hall of Fame career. You have to appreciate that. And I said to my son also, I go, I grew up in the 80s hating the Oilers, but there was 6 or 7 Hall of Famers on there, but none of them were there forever. They all went on to different places. I think we're in the middle of something that when my son is my age now, we'll look back and go, I don't know if it'll happen again. You have Lowry, Connor, Morrissey, Scheifele, Hellebuck. 4 of them are likely going to the hockey, not the Hockey Hall of Fame and they will have played their entire careers here. Dale Hawerchuk didn't play his entire career here. Like it's, and part of it is out of want, which Adam just said, and the rest of it is out of necessity. You cannot, along the lines of, trade any of those players I just mentioned and get equal value back from somebody that will go, yes, I'll come to Winnipeg right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're trading Kyle Connor and you're looking for a number one D-man for him because he's a number one bona fide top 5 winger, is that D-man going, I'll waive and come to Winnipeg? Probably not.
Yeah.
And so it's out of necessity as well, but it's fascinating to me that, like, I often want to think bigger picture. We did this in year 2 of the Grey Cup run for the Bombers, and everybody was worried about this and worried about that and talking, what about this and what about this injury? And we literally said on the air to each other, I said, I think you're missing it. I get it, because in Winnipeg, we're always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Correct.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not putting the Stanley Cup to the wayside. This is a group that should win a Stanley Cup, and if they don't, it will be a huge hole in their legacy and their careers. But that being said, are some fans not missing out on the fact of what they're watching right now in 20 years from now when 3 or 4 of these guys go into the Hall? And name me your favorite team in the last 50 years that you were able to witness this.
Miss your chance to get your thoughts on the show today. Call the Boston Pizza Jets at Noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Boston Pizza coming for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Get a delicious main, side, and ice cold drink for only $15 only at BP. Hey, call that line because the number one caller is going to be given a $50 gift card to Boston Pizza on Friday. We've had some really, really great calls, but it hasn't been decided yet. So call 204-780-6800. Give us your best Jets take. Why don't you give us a take on Adam Lowry or Nikolaj Ehlers or whatever, and you'll win yourself a $50 gift card to Boston Pizza. The Carolina Hurricanes, Nikolaj Ehlers, they're in town tomorrow. And Jim, I was looking into them today and some of the analytics and the numbers, and this team, I think right now, out of the East, and I think all roads right now, as of this moment, still go through Florida. But this team, I think, is playing the best that they have in years. And they've been good for a number of years. Here's they're leading the league in shots. If you've been following the Carolina Hurricanes or following the NHL, the Carolina Hurricanes are a heavy shoot team.
Yes.
They shoot the puck from everywhere. They lead the league in shots. They lead the league in causing turnovers from their opponents. They're constantly loading and reloading their transition game and making you fall into mistakes. They have great defensemen that are expert at exit passes. They play tight to the blue line. Number one in offensive zone time, Jim. No one spends more time in the O-zone than the Carolina Hurricanes. They also are number one in the defensive zone. No one spends less time in their own zone than the Carolina Hurricanes in the entire NHL. They're number 2 in mid-range shots. So not the high slot, but really great chances. They're also 7th in generating high danger chances from the direct slot right in front of the net. They're fast, the 7th fastest team in the NHL. They're skilled. They're 3rd in goals. They're great defensively. They're one of the best 5-on-5 teams in the entire NHL. This is a dynamite team that Rod Brind'Amour has playing exactly the way that he wants them to play. They are fantastic. This is a great team. This is the Jets' biggest challenge of the year so far is the Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow night.
And I agree with that because as much as I like Anaheim and I believe in LA and all that this is probably the toughest, deepest challenge. Now, so I watched 2 periods of the game last night or had it on while I was doing some other stuff. They put 45 shots on Minnesota. They put 45 shots on Minnesota. They were down 3-1 when I tuned in. Down 3-1. They ended up with 45 shots total. Minnesota put 19 total shots on Freddie Anderson. So they were outshot Minnesota 45-19, and they lost in a shootout. They managed to tie it late, but they're deep. They have good goaltending, good enough goaltending to win with, I believe.
Yeah.
And they play a very good system. To me, this reminds me of the 10 years you waited for the Capitals to win with Backstrom and TJ Oshie and Ovechkin and all them. And he just kept waiting and waiting, Holtby and net and stuff that, they got knocked out again in the second round, third round, this time a first round upset. And I've said this about Carolina for the past 3 years. I thought this could possibly be their year. Could this possibly be the year? The other thing I noticed was in overtime, Nick Ehlers was out there a lot, as you would expect with the open ice and stuff. But didn't really do, what he looked like Nick Ehlers to me. It wasn't anything
Nick
that
Ehlers
came out
is
of
Nick Ehlers. That's who he is. And Nick Ehlers is a great hockey player, and that's it.
He has 13 points in 20 games now, just 4 goals, but 9 helpers. Got off to a slow start. We know that he didn't score the first couple of games.
Sounds like Nick Ehlers to me.
But it looks like he'll finish with 60-some points, just like he would have here. I wonder if he would have scored more here just because the Jets tend to score a little bit more than Carolina. But I think this is a tough challenge. You're right. I think they're all going to probably go have dinner with Nick Ehlers tonight and get caught up, and then it's go time. But this is also the game, and I'll never forget this game. They pulled their goalie and scored 3 unanswered goals to tie a game against the Jets.
Yeah.
I've never seen that done before. I've seen it done when they're down 2, but I've never seen it work. I've never seen a team pull their goalie, score a goal, pull their goalie, score a goal, pull their goalie, tie a game. And so that's the team.
The Jets won that game in overtime, if you remember correctly.
Now, Minnesota, like I said,
disaster.
Offensively wasn't very good last night, but they managed to win in a shootout and were up 3-1 in the third period before they got a late goal to tie it, and then they got a goal with about 8 minutes left from Aho with a beautiful shot to go ahead. But this is a tough challenge.
So this team doesn't really have much holes. As you brought up goaltending, Frederik Andersen, it's good enough. I mean, if you look at his stat line, his goals against is 3.7, 3.07. His save percentage is 8.83. Kochetkov is at 9.25, and so their goaltending is good enough. I agree with you.
Kochetkov has a shutout this year or two.
Yeah, it's good enough. It's not outstanding. It's certainly not in the top third. But I would say it's, somewhere around the middle, probably a little lower than the middle.
They got one of those fourth liners in Taylor Hall that plays on the power play. And
yeah. So in special teams, they have a right down the middle penalty kill at 79.4%, which is 16th in the league. This is their major weakness, is they are tied for last place on the power play at 12.5%.
And it should be way better.
It should be way
especially
better.
with Nick Ehlers on it.
So the way I'm look at it is the Jets sort of to find it. Well, listen, this is going to be a physical game. The Jets have to stay on the Hurricanes. They got to keep them to the outside. Let them take those low danger shots from the outside. I mean, there's the Connor Hellebuck is going to be in the net for sure. So you got to keep them to the outside. And that tells me a 12.5% power play when you have a talented team like the Carolina Hurricanes, to me in a lot of ways is like, don't tempt it because it's going to start going. But that tells me right now that there's not a lot of confidence. You can play physical. Don't take penalties, but play on the edge.
Can't give them a lot of opportunities.
Get in their face. Don't give them any room.
But this team is better than what it might be tomorrow night even because Jacob Slavin is on the IR. Jesperi Kotkaniemi is day-to-day. Who knows if he'll play. Chatfield is out, as is Alexis Legault. So they're not even at full health, and they're kind of having this run. This is but again, Cam, I think they signed Ehlers because they want more scoring come playoff time. I think that's, they traded for Keandre Miller to get both better defensively, but also provide more offense from the back because when I see them in the playoffs, the one thing that they can't seem to do is score more come playoff time to get them more wins.
Let's take a break. Let's come back on the other side. We'll give away our VIP car wash or our VIP texter, and we say a farewell to Jay Richardson. It's a frequent contributor on the show. We'll be right back.
On 680 CJOB.
Congratulations, Ernie. You're our VIP texter. You said Adam Lowry is not the flashy 50-goal kind of superstar, but he's a superstar at the absolute critical checking center role. Jets PA announcer Jay Richardson is leaving Corus Radio, is leaving Power 97. Tomorrow is his last day. Frequent contributor on the show. Hey, Jay. It's a take.
This is why he's leaving.
This is why he's gone. He can't deal with just total mediocre hacks like me. Hey, Jay.
Hi there.
Hi. So it's incredible that you leaving Power 97, you also had to. This is a huge sacrifice for you. You also have to give up the PA announcer job for the Winnipeg Jets.
That's not. I want to make sure I clarify that immediately. That's not accurate.
Okay,
at all.
okay,
Yeah.
good. I thought I had heard somewhere that this was a given. Like you couldn't do both.
No. What? No.
I heard. I don't know. I guess I got bad information.
Yeah, you got terrible information. You've been talking to Jim Toth.
Yeah,
Clearly.
that's it. Yes.
That's where that accuracy comes from. No, I've been doing this job for 21 years with the Jets and True North, and I've gone through a lot of different radio stations in that amount of time.
Yeah.
One has never been tied to the other. So
Okay, well, that's good to know. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna
So
have to
you're
go.
stuck with me,
I'm gonna
brother.
have to savagely beat somebody at the end of this. So Jay, I just wanted to squeeze you on the show for one last time. Where do you think the Winnipeg Jets are right now?
When I thought about what happened in the playoffs over the past couple of seasons, there's been a lot of regular season success, which has been followed up by some playoff, maybe not quite as far as they internally hoped they would go. And then when I looked at teams like Florida, who won the Stanley Cup last year, they didn't have a real exceptional regular season. In fact, the first year they went to the Stanley Cup final where they ended up losing to Vegas, I believe they were the 8th seed that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they had huge ups and downs, big defensive problems that they were able to fix.
Yeah, that was the
eventually.
year they took out Boston in the first round in that huge upset. They were able to go all the way to the Stanley Cup final. So I'm not sure that regular season success always means that there's going to be a lot of success in the playoffs. So I'd rather see the team maybe take a step back in the regular season, maybe try to figure out how many games they want someone like Connor Hellebuck to play. And if that means that they have to operate from a second or third seed in the Central, I mean, the Central is going to be tough no matter what. We saw how difficult it was with the Jets having a 1 seed. Colorado is going to be there. Dallas is going to be there. You're going to have to get through those two teams at some point in time. Maybe a fresher Connor Hellebuck is the key to having some sort of sustained playoff success. Who knows?
Especially with the Olympics this year. I mean, that's going to be a huge drain.
And honestly, they're still top 10 in the entire NHL. So I know there's a lot of hand-wringing after the road trip that with the only 2 wins and the 4 losses. But the team's still in pretty good shape. They finally are healthy. I think you have to appreciate how difficult it is for someone like Adam Lowry to be kind of airdropped into the middle of a season with no training camp. He's trying to get himself back into game shape. These things are going to take some time. Same with Perfetti, same with Sandberg. So, once you get everybody kind of settled into their roles, and there's going to be injuries and they're going to have to deal with it as it goes. I feel like the team is going to improve on what has been a pretty decent start to begin with already in the season. Yeah,
I mean, to me, this is sort of a season that's sort of maybe this will be the sort of normal, at least for the foreseeable future, the next 2 or 3 years, where we're entering this season, and it's like, and maybe it was a little bit like last year, but not as much. Last year was more about, can they take the next step? Can they get out of the first round? They were able to do that.
Right.
And they took Dallas to 6 games, and I thought they played really well against Dallas. Bounce here, bounce there. They end up winning that series. But they fell short. There's no doubt about it. This year, it's more like, okay, find a way into the postseason. Hopefully the tweaks that were made in the offseason, bringing in Jonathan Taves, Gustav Nyquist, all that sort of thing. Some more veterans, some guys with that have gone through a lot in the National Hockey League. Will that sort of be that next step and help them once the playoffs start? Because you just got to beat the other team 4 times.
Yeah. Can we also talk about how it seems every team in the Western Conference is better this year?
They are. They are, except for Calgary. Calgary's the only team and maybe the Canucks. But
yeah, maybe. But like Utah is better. Chicago is better. There's a couple teams in your own division that you've got.
Edmonton is worse
now.
too. Yeah.
The Pacific, San Jose is a little bit better.
Yeah.
Celebrini has been absolutely amazing. He's taken that next step. The Ducks are good this season. What are we talking about?
Yeah, the Ducks. Oh God, I don't think that they're going anywhere though. I mean, I just think Joe Quenneville, like Like he's gonna get those guys going. I mean, he sort of set the stage for what Florida eventually became.
Right.
He of course was let go for the situation that unfolded in Chicago. Yeah, but he's always been a great coach, and he's going to get those guys going. I like the Kings a lot.
Yep.
I think in teams that have gone,
especially for them on home ice, if they ever get a home ice advantage in a playoff series, look out.
I like the Kings. The Golden Knights and Edmonton. Honestly, I think the other three Canadian teams have gotten worse. I think Edmonton only 22 games into their season, they have 4 regulation wins.
Yeah.
4.
Wow.
That is a.
But that's Edmonton, right?
Yeah.
Like they're notoriously slow starting. It cost their coach a job a couple years ago, and they still made it to the Stanley Cup.
Then they'll go
final.
on a 15 game winning streak. So we'll see. Anyways, Jay, thanks so much for popping on, and good luck.
Thanks, man. Thanks for always having me. Big fan of you and Jim. Obviously, you're quality broadcasters. Yeah. More than that, you're quality people. I've always enjoyed my time with you guys.
And you can actively harass us now. You don't have to feel bad about it, or worry about running into me in the hallway. You can send those mean text messages. You can have those mean calls into the show now.
First of all,
there's no ramifications anymore.
I was never concerned about running into you in the hallway. Second of all, your Twitter mentions are about to get flooded with trolling, brother.
There you go, Jay Richardson. Jim Toth's going to take you all the way until 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, Jeffrey Forche, for bailing me out once again. See ya.